we know what's going to happen with the windfall tax because this isn't the first time it's happened. The government back in 1980, another Tory government, put a windfall tax on the North Sea. What then happened was a collapse in investment over the course of the next 10 years until their tax revenues from the North Sea were down by 90% by 1992. Gordon Brown put a special tax regime on the North Sea, then raised it. George Osborne raised it. Every single time they did, there was a collapse in investment, followed by a collapse in tax. By 2015, the Treasury was paying negative taxation in the North Sea as a result of high taxes. They then had a panic, introduced lots of special allowances, and then tried to claw it all back in the hope the companies would come back, but they didn't. So what Rishi Sunak's just done in the middle of an oil boom is to put both together at the same time and cross his fingers and hope that it's not going to do damage, but it will. There's going to be enormous damage to that and onshore as well.
No, I'm concerned about that, and as I say, to me, I think what the Ukraine war's exposed is that we should be producing all of our energy and as much of our food in this country as we possibly can, and somehow the government. And in terms of the package that Rishi Sunak is offering people to alleviate this real cost of living crisis, I mean, the estimate that 40% of the country could be in fuel poverty by the autumn of this year, the average energy bill per home going up to almost £3,000 by October of this year. Has he done enough?
So the spending side of it's good, and you're not going to get dissent on that from the left or the right. You need to spend that money because this is a global supply shock. It's nobody's fault here that those bills are going up. It's to do with a shortage of oil and gas, and that means the prices rise. The only long-term solution to that is more oil and gas, and in the interim, you've got to help people. This will help the least well off.
Yeah.
You're quite right that it's not going to help people on low incomes very much, a little bit, but not enough, and it's really going to hurt. So there may be more measures announced in the autumn on that basis.
But I mean, he's just put national insurance up for a lot of people out there in the middle income brackets. I mean, the increase in national insurance is far more than they're going to get back on this rebate, isn't it?
Well, it's a really important point that you don't make anything cheaper by putting a tax on it, and you don't make anything better by putting taxes up. So the same applies for the national insurance as it does for the windfall tax. Somewhere somebody's going to pay. There's no magic money tree by which we can just automatically make things cheaper with taxes.
And do the Labour and Liberal Democrats have any genuine economic alternatives to offer to what we're getting from a Conservative government?
Well, they're delighted. I mean, they're setting the agenda. Rachel Reeves was dancing around Parliament earlier saying that we're winning the battle of ideas. It's hard to argue with that. I mean, Rishi Sunak is now the most successful socialist chancellor of this century.
And just how many U-turns? Because I heard Boris Johnson a week ago say he didn't like the idea of putting this tax on the oil and gas companies, and that was when I knew that he would. We've lost count of the U-turns, haven't we?
Well, yeah, it's almost impossible. Yeah, you can't look at this government and say where they're going to go next. Dominic Cummings, not a popular fellow, but totally right about the Prime Minister. That is a shopping trolley, a wobbly shopping trolley, careering all over the place, picking his policies from left and right, and just hoping to stay in power and that nobody notices when he's had a party.